Hey there, and welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming Podcast. It is great to have you join us. This podcast series features those who have gained victory over a life encounter. With that life experience, we encourage those who are experiencing something that might seem to be insurmountable. We advance and encourage others by passing forward evaluated life experiences. We have three objectives in this podcast series. We want to encourage those who are engaged in any type of life encounter by offering to walk with you to help you gain victory over anything that might seem impossible. We want to share our experience to help you. Our second objective is to help you develop a confident resolve that there are multiple options to get past any life obstacle. It's a matter of thinking into the situation. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you are facing a dilemma resulting from a previous decision you wish you could reverse, we want to help you think into all of the facts and factors involved in making an informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business manager, Marty. Together, we are the Cooper Culture Company who is sponsoring this podcast series. Today, we feature Lisa Pachence, who describes her life experience of transitioning from a life of a hard-driven success. It's an environment in which she felt she was raised in meeting expectations. She is very articulate in describing her feelings that a lot of her success was built on the external, that is, the trophies, the diplomas, the external accolades, and so forth. She has learned to overcome that, and I use the term, Marty, that she now knows the difference between, and there's greater value in significance than success. The significance has a focus on others, whereas success frequently has a focus on ourselves. But Marty, what are some takeaways our listeners can gain from Lisa?
Ron, when I think of an overachiever or a high goal person, I admire them because they have a goal, they set out to reach that goal. We learn from Lisa, that's good, but through this high achiever and through her parents being the same way, she wanted these awards, she wanted to be number one, but it also resulted in depression and anxiety. And she had a coach that helped her realize it's not the external, it's the internal that matters, and worked with her to become the person that she knows that she wants to be.
Marty, it's a real valuable life lesson. Let's listen and learn together. Lisa, it is great to have you with us. Our listeners are going to be very interested in your life story. You are a former high-level athlete. Perhaps you can tell us just a little bit about that, and a recovering overachiever. Overachiever may have personal application to various listeners. Overachiever may not necessarily have a universal application and definition. And then you go further to say, but after 10 years of personal development, Lisa, I'm just going to guess you have a lot of life experience that our listeners will be very interested in listening to. You are an achieving entrepreneur, of which many of our listeners are. Lisa, welcome aboard. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Ron. I'm excited by this conversation. I think my 25-year-old self 10 years ago would probably cry and run for cover in thinking about having such a vulnerable conversation about overcoming and how I related to myself over the years. But I think it's so important for those in positions of success, not only to talk about times of struggle and suffering, but also to talk about how they got to where they got to. A lot of times we see the after effects, or we see the highlight reel of, these are all the wonderful things that I did and now I'm happy, rather than really what does it actually take to get to a position of success and fulfillment. And that's really what I concentrate on in my business. I work with underfulfilled, high-achieving women with big ambitions, but also big burnout. And they struggle with bringing together success and fulfillment. How do we have both? In our society, we often juxtapose those two things with each other. We say, well, we can be successful, but we suffer and we're unhappy and we can't take care of ourselves. Or we can go on vacation for a month, but then all of the things that we have to do are pushed to the side. And so as human beings in our society, we are terrible at being able to have success and happiness in the same room. So that's what I work on mostly in my business, because I was one of those people. I was one of those human beings that from a very young age was taught how to achieve, how to perform, how to push myself, how to self-discipline. My parents were and are extremely smart, high-achieving people themselves. Both my parents are doctors working in very specialized fields. And so the way that I was conditioned was that high performance and success was your validation in life. That was the ultimate validation. Now, that wasn't the only signs that they sent me growing up in my conditioning. They were very loving, and they also taught family values and community values, but that wasn't what I latched onto. It was the idea that success was safe. And I want to get back to that point, that success was safe. But bookmarking that for a minute, because I was taught that high performance was good and low performance was bad, I turned my hobbies, and I'm talking about like 12 years old, I turned my hobbies of sports into my job, into what I needed to do in order to get validation, in order to get love, in order to get all the good things that I wanted in life. And I started playing on a high-level soccer team at a young age. So starting at about 12 through age, I want to say 19 until I went off to college, or 18 when I went off to college. And I played soccer in college as well. Played with some amazing women who were actually on the Olympic team. So Carly Lloyd, Heather O'Reilly, Jill Lloyden, for those who care about women's soccer. I actually played with those women. But when I reached college, I was so burnt out from playing soccer because I should, instead of playing because I loved it. And that's what a lot of overachievers struggle with. It's the shoulds. Now back to success is safe. I tend to work with people who are high achievers, but the problem is there's a difference between a strive for excellence, wanting to have an impact, and this overachieving, because it's what we think we should be doing. It's from a place of success is safe. If I'm not successful, I'm not safe. And so it creates this survival mechanism motivation to need to be successful in order to get safety and security. Having those two things attached are really bad for our mental health. And that's what generates this, that's what I label as overachieving. Achieving to the extent that way past what is actually healthy for us, or what would fulfill us, or even in a direction that doesn't fulfill us. So that's overachieving in my mind. I did not realize this was happening to me, and that I was doing this and creating this path of success is safe. If I'm not successful, I'm not safe. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of depression in my adulthood and teenage years. It was a really, really hard time for me, really hard time. And I think mental health is starting to become something that we talk about a lot more, which is wonderful. We need to have vulnerable conversations as a way to welcome others to be able to talk about it so that we can address it. Otherwise, we're walking around in anxiety and depression and no one has safe places to speak about it. It has a stigma. So I had no idea that what was actually the problem was actually this muscle of overachieving, this idea that I'm attaching my value to and my worth to success, to the trophies that I brought home, to the promotions, to the titles, to the amount of acknowledgement I got at work, and all of these external things. That was what was driving me crazy and what eventually created the anxiety, depression cloud. I went through years of therapy. I love therapy. It's a wonderful thing. I recommend it to everyone. But it really wasn't until I met a coach and started working with a coach that I began to get my life back. Because I understood now that it wasn't just about managing the anxiety or managing my behaviors, but it was changing my relationship to myself. Instead of relating to myself as I will only produce value, I will only be loved when I achieve. Instead of relating to myself as that, I started relating to myself differently. I am loved because I am me. I am loved because I love people. I am loved because, I don't know, I enjoy being with people. I was a tremendously introverted, shy human being between about the ages of 5 and 20, 25 maybe. I'm actually an extrovert, but I have social anxiety from that conditioning that I need to succeed in order to be successful. And so I started to reform my identity, to understand myself and take responsibility for what I believed was a true fact about my life that I needed to achieve to be loved. And so I relate to myself as a recovering overachiever because I still have those muscles of overachieving, and I do strive for excellence. I love that about myself. I love to compete. I love to collaborate. I love to challenge myself and grow. That's that athletic mindset. How can I grow? How can I challenge myself? But I have to be very cognizant and intentional about where those muscles and where that striving edges into this overachieving and toxic relationship to outcomes and results, and where it stays in the realm of healthy striving. So I spoke a lot.
No, that's good. I want to make certain I'm processing what you're saying. I'm going to use just slightly different terms, but tell me if I'm processing what you said correctly. There was a point of your life where your identity was on the external. People have trophies. We have shingles on the wall, meaning diplomas, and so forth. Our identity, maybe sometimes, maybe too often, is in those external things. The more life experience we get, we do understand, well, sometimes those framed certificates, the trophies that are on the shelves, might get boxed up. And gosh, if they're no longer in sight, maybe I no longer have an identity. I've lost who I am. What I'm processing, Lisa, is you have overcome that, and you have now a more healthy self-awareness. Now, here I am I am a self-described knuckle-dragging aerospace engineer, raised on a dairy farm and so forth. I'm saying that to say it's very possible I have misunderstood what you said, but I'm listening to what you're saying, and that's how I process it. Please correct anything that may be misdirected.
That was perfectly translated, and I loved that you used the self-deprecating language of knuckle-dragging aerospace engineer. Come on. That's amazing. I want to hear more about your background in that field. That's unbelievable.
Let's just say that as an engineer of any type, we are by definition closet nerds, and we don't know how to socialize and so forth. Let's just say that I know I've come out of that background, and hopefully I am more mentally healthy than I was at an earlier age. But Lisa, what you said is so mature, so intriguing, that there are a lot of us who just don't understand our mental health and where we are. And I'm radically on board resonating with you. There are many of us who have a very poor mental health, but we've just lived with who we are for so long, we've just learned to accept it.
Well, that's one way of putting it. And I think that part of my mission on the planet is to break down this idea that we are who we are and we can't change it. Because most of that is BS. It's complete BS. Because we learn new things every single day. Unless you are living under a rock and you don't learn new things every day. But we actually have to. I mean, the amount of times that we shed our skin and we change biologically is Like, that's evolution. That's science. We change every single day, whether we want to or not, whether we think we are or not. So this idea that we can't change is part of the reason why we have the same perception of ourselves that persist. We would rather stay in the suffering that we know than change into something slightly different that would have us be happier, but we don't know. It's the nature of humans. It's the nature of comfort zones. It's biology. It's neuroscience. So it takes something to, number one, commit to change, knowing that you do need to change and do need to have a different way of perceiving life, or, just knowing that the pain is too much and you have to do something different. But it also takes a commitment to partnership with someone like a coach or a therapist, or even a leader at a conference. It takes a commitment to trusting the partnership, in that we have to allow a difference to be made for ourselves and accept there are things that we can change, or accept that we have blind spots, or accept that what we thought was a rule is not a rule, and start to challenge these inner beliefs that we have as solid as facts, as cement. I do tend to work with clients that already have a bit of an open mind, that have done some personal development, that have had some form of leadership training or awareness training or something. So I'm very lucky in that I meet my clients who are very coachable. However, there are some clients that I work with that have a very strong survival mechanism. Usually they're the hyper-rational people, which I'm sure you could probably relate to. So highly intelligent. I'm talking about like software engineers. I worked with someone in NASA for a little while. Very, very logical, rational human beings. And those are the survival mechanisms that are the toughest to crack, because the protection mechanism is that I don't need to change, or that change is bad, or that I have to know why I'm changing, or that it's safe, that there has to be some evidence before I change. The issue with that is there will not be evidence to it being safe outside of your comfort zone until you are outside your comfort zone and experiencing it. It's just like playing a new sport. Like you can sit in a classroom and watch videos and learn from a textbook and, get all the right equipment, but it won't be until you're out on the field and you're gearing up and you fall on your face for the first time and you get up and you go, okay, that wasn't so bad. Until you learn that it's those moments where you learn that, oh, okay, like I can do this. I can change. I can go outside my comfort zone. This is probably a good idea.
Do you feel stagnated? Possibly feeling there's more to life than what I'm experiencing? Do you sometimes feel you're not totally fulfilled? I heard a statistic very recently that said of the 1,000 or so surveyed, upwards of 77% felt their potential is underutilized. People are not performing at their full potential. It could be a matter of us knowing we have more that can be used. We know that there's more to us. Maybe I'm not with the right people who recognize the strengths I have. They don't realize who I am, the value I am. Maybe I don't realize the value I am. I want to encourage you, take a brief moment to assess where you are and where you can be better fulfilled. It may be a matter of getting out of your comfort zone. Lisa, right there, captures what I was saying, that some of us have lived where we are for so long, in the culture, the environment. I'm in a comfort zone. I don't know any different. I don't even know what is outside of my comfort zone until someone encourages me to explore, if that's an appropriate term. Our listeners are very interested, Lisa, for you. Was there an epiphany? Was there a moment in your life that you came to the realization, if that's the appropriate term, that you are not fulfilled? You are putting too much emphasis on the external, and You need to put maybe a little bit more focus on the internal of your worth. And again, I may not be characterizing exactly thoughts you had, but that's how I'm processing some of what you're saying.
I have a question for you because I want to use a metaphor here. Have you ever made homemade tomato sauce?
I have.
Okay, so you'll get the metaphor. For me, coming to the realization that I needed to take responsibility for myself and that I could take responsibility, and breaking out of that is like making tomato sauce. It's like homemade tomato sauce. I'm not talking about like Prego and you put it in a pod and you warm it up. I'm talking about like the 8 hours that is required to go from bitter, weird combinations. I have no idea if this is coming together, but let me trust the process. I'm going to trust this recipe that my grandmother made when I was a kid. It's like okay, I'm going to try this out, buying the ingredients, putting it together, putting it in a pot, and going, oh, this doesn't taste so good, but still trusting the process. And going, okay, well, let me check it in an hour and see how it's going. You can kind of get the sense that it might come together, but you're still not really trusting it. And then you go into the second hour and you're like, oh, okay, so it's starting to taste like tomato sauce instead of tomato flavored water. Great. Third hour. Like, oh, okay, so maybe it needs a little bit more salt, a little bit more lemon. Great. Fourth hour. Starting to come together. Fifth hour. Ooh, it's tasting really good. Sixth hour. This is what I'm talking about. Seventh hour. You're like, all right, I'm here. I know how to do this now. Let's keep making homemade tomato sauce because it's worth it. It was like that. It was a slow burn for me. And it took a big leap of trust and faith to go down this path of transformation. And truly it was a transformation. Like if you met me 10 to 15 years ago, I was an entirely different human being. But I trusted the process. I trusted the people who came before me. I trusted the person in front of me. I trusted that what I had been doing wasn't working. I trusted that I wanted something different. I wanted something that someone else had. That tasty tomato sauce at the end. That was different than out of the can. That was different than a quick fix. That was different than a book or a medication that I could take. So I think that's what it's like for a lot of people going through transformation.
Some things you said that are just absolutely very important. Take responsibility, trust the process. There's a term that's very operative for Marty and me, that's journey. I'm guessing, Lisa, your metaphor of the tomato sauce, you're describing that you've gone through different failings, or let's say if some people don't like the term failing or failure, but let's just say, nope, I'm not there yet. Not yet. Not yet. The operative word being yet. I'm going to continue to progress. You have probably experienced any number of, that's not exactly where I intended to be, but nothing is going to keep me from getting where I will be. I think that's maybe a part of overachiever. I will keep moving. No one's going to keep me from achieving my goals. But Lisa, help the person who is resonating with what you're saying, who is saying, I've been in my comfort zone for a long time, but I'm not fulfilled. And I've achieved different things, but still I just don't have the feeling that I'm living a fulfilled life. I need to do something different, but I'm not even sure what to get started on, what to do different. How would you work that with that person?
Well, the first thing that I would suggest is to seek out partnerships, seek out community, seek out people who have created the life that this person would want, and start having conversations with them. What did they do? What were some of the key takeaways? What were the tips and tricks and the monumental moments that shifted things for them? I think gathering community is very underrated. It cannot be overemphasized, especially nowadays where we feel so isolated, we feel so lonely, we feel so alone. And I think a big part of that is that community has not carried over in our society as something really important. We value instead intelligence and uber independence. And I just don't, those two tools are not sustainable. over intelligence and over independence, not a sustainable thing. So gather people around you, do some informational interviews, get curious about other people's lives and how they got there. Hire a coach, take a program, read a book. There's so many resources out there that can start to get you excited about what's possible. And once we get excited about what's possible, we start to gather momentum and we start to take action and we start to follow that. If you can visualize it in your mind, there's 2 reasons for change, for human beings to change. And picture a person on one side of a very tall brick wall, and under their feet is a fire, and past the wall is a beautiful garden. And there's 2 reasons why someone would mount that wall. Because the fire under their feet gets too hot, or because the garden is so beautiful and so amazing and so delicious that they can't help but figure out how to climb over the wall. Oftentimes we wait until the pain is too much, and then we do something. But then if the pain gets lessened, if we can find ways to manage the pain, then we just forget about the garden on the other side. And the thing is, if you hire a coach, if you work with someone, if you have consistent accountability, that person can go, hey, remember that garden? Like, yeah, you might be comfortable now. The pain might be less. It might be tolerable, but this garden is still here and this pain will always be here. So unless you continue to do the work and generate those muscles, you won't get that garden, but I know you want to. So generating partnership is super, super important. I think doing the work to be self-aware is very important. We can do that through journaling. We can do that through meditation. We can do that through coursework. We can do that through, again, reading. But the best way to change is through community, is through other people. So any way you can gather groups or gather influence around you, do that. We are the sum of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. So get people around you that would have us rise to those people and to that way of being.
Lisa, that's very well said. Yes, Jim Rome said we are the average of the 5 people with whom we most closely associate. I sense, Lisa, there are some other topics you could address that would be very beneficial to our listeners. Would you possibly consider coming on for some additional episodes to just have a conversation with our listeners?
Yeah, I would love to. There's so many things that I could talk about for hours and hours and pontificate. So you let me know what works with your listeners.
We do not consider anything of your wisdom as pontificating. You have life experience we all need to learn from. Lisa, on behalf of our listeners, I want to thank you for sharing with us, and we look forward to additional episodes where we can learn from your life experience and move forward. And Marty and I use the terms frequently: journey, life fulfillment, and for some of us, there's a lot more out there we just need to explore. And as you very eloquently said, seek partnerships with those who are where you want to be. Very well said. Thank you for sharing, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Ron. This was lovely.
Lisa has a message that's very applicable to those of us who are hard-driving, results-oriented people. We are sometimes not satisfied with what we have. Sometimes it's called perfectionists. Sometimes it's called overachieving. There are various applications of the terms, but we're hard-driving, hard-driven people to achieve results. And there's sometimes we take that to extreme. We think sometimes the results are not as good as we had hoped. We're not certain it is to the level of achievement we want. And there's sometimes we're so results oriented, we become focused on the external. That is, we become focused on everything outside and not the impact of what we're doing, having a heart desire to impact people. Many of us have overcome what we used to be, and we now have a heart desire to pass on our life experience to others to help them overcome the feeling that we're not totally fulfilled, we're not living our full potential. It sometimes takes life experience to learn just where we are and help others overcome what we have overcome. Lisa explains the value of community, partnering, and being with those who have not necessarily the same values, but at least those who have a true desire to help us be the very best that God has created us to be, to live our full potential. Coaching. Everybody can benefit from a coach. Lisa is a certified coach. Marty and I are also certified coaches through the John Maxwell Certified Leadership Team. We want from the depth of our heart to pass on our life experiences, our certifications of coaching to help you live and perform at your full potential. Many of us have overcome things of the past. Many of us are living in the shadow of things said to or about us that are keeping us from performing at our full potential. Contact us at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. Let's schedule a 30-minute complimentary coaching session. Through that, we can help you determine if Marty or I is the right person to help you overcome whatever it is that may be keeping you from performing at your full potential. Lisa will also offer to be a coach to help you overcome. Let's work together. Let's overcome. Let's be the best person God created us to be. We hope we can warrant a 5-star rating with this podcast series. We hope you will want to subscribe to this podcast. We hope also you will engage in conversation. Let's share with each other. Let's share with our Facebook friends, our LinkedIn connections, our Twitter and Instagram communities. The more we share, the greater benefit will be with others. Let's share our life experiences. That which has worked for us, that which has been less effective. Lisa is very applicable in being vulnerable. Marty and I are as well. We're happy to share with you the various shortcomings in our life, how we have overcome, and how we can help you be that person that God has designed you to be. Again, the more we share, the greater the benefit will be to others. Let's work together. Let's share. Let's advance others. We look forward to working with you.